This week's scenario is the Pit 2 from the 2017 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have the Killbox Artifice in effect, and consists of one circular zone which can be controlled by warrior units, warcasters, and warlocks, two rectangular zones which can be controlled by warjacks, warbeasts, battle engines, warcasters, and warlocks, and then objectives which can be destroyed for 1 CP. Victory conditions consist of earning 5 more control points than your opponent, or caster assassination.
Hey everybody, this is Gaston, and today I'm playing Anson Durst in the Guardians of the Temple theme. One note about this video is this was all recorded and the list was built prior to the Theme Force update, so I'm still actually playing it with Girded as a benefit. When I was building the list I thought it'd be kind of cute because blast damage is one way around Durst's feet, so you take advantage of that benefit. It doesn't really come up too much in this game, so not a big deal, but I did want to have that note there. Deployment wise, just deploying a nice big brick. I have my Pathfinder daughters, Flamebringers up at the top to run through that forest, and my jacks are positioned to be able to go around the forest that's in the center of the zone. The Temple Flameguard are kind of taking up the center because they'll want them in that zone in order to score. And then I just have Pyrrhus kind of on a flank because I didn't really have a good place to put him, to be honest.
Right. Playing Makeda in the Exalted Court, or Makeda 3. It's a very similar list that you guys have seen numerous times. Before anybody says anything, this game was recorded prior to the theme list dump, so this is still not in theme. But it's very typical to what I've had in the past. I guess the big difference on this one is I've added the Nihilators for the infantry portion. Just so I had some infantry I could use, because a lot of the scenarios now tend to have infantry only portions to them. So instead of trying to use my beast handlers as my only way to score in those zones, I pulled in some Nihilators.
I know a lot of people talk about how it's better to go second in SR17 because of the scenario pressure, but I really do enjoy going first because I can do things like what I'm about to do right now. I'm measuring out his start range, and I'm going to take my Flamebringers and I'm going to jam them up something like 18 inches in his face. And they're just going to be like, pow, I'm there, deal with it. Insofar as this list goes, I really like Durst as a warcaster. I think maybe he gets a bad rap for some reason, but I look at him as he can speed up his army, he helps the hitting power with Boundless Charge, you're getting an extra attack in there. And then when you take him in this list in particular, you have a lot of layers that I really like, where you have the Daughters ambushing in the back, you have the Flamebringers as that intermediate long-range threat, and then you have the Warjacks backing that up. My typical goal is to try to get an Alpha Strike as best I can with the Warjacks, and then feet on top of that. So I'm doing a little bit of work, feeding so he can't do counter work against me, and then pressing forward. It's a little bit tricky in this case because he has Makeda, he's got Rush, and Molik Karn is ridiculous as usual. So we're definitely going to have to be very careful and kind of play around him. There's nothing special going on this turn, everything's just running up.
Turn 1. Alright, so this list is pretty much just going to run up, try to get in a very defensive position, hopefully to not take too much of a hit from the horses and anything else. So I start out with the Brute. It puts up its Animus' Safeguard and tramples forward. And then the Brute, not the Brute, but the Savage, it just runs up. I try to run him up to kind of get him a little shielded on the back side of the forest there, so that way he doesn't get charged by the horses. And then Makeda, she activates next. She puts up Hand of Death up on Molik Karn and casts Rush on both the Molik Karn and the Sentry. So that kind of leaves her bare bones. Then the Sentry activates. He tramples forward and then puts his own Animus up of Henri. And then Molik Karn just ends up running. Probably didn't need to have to put Rush up on him to do that, but I figured it was better safe than sorry type thing. And right there you saw me measuring, making sure that Molik Karn was, quarter of an inch outside of the threat range of his jacks. And then the Gladiator runs up. And then the other Savage, I'm trying to figure out how best to get the Savage up there to where he's not being blocked in. But of course, the first Savage was out there to be, shielded from the horses, but the second one, not so worried about it, because now I'm going to use that second one. Change of plans in my head, anyways, is that it moves up to help block the Nihilators. My hope is that the Nihilators are going to be able to do some damage on my next turn.
So it's turn 2, time to ring in my ambushers. So I have to run all the way around the table to play on his edge. I checked to see if they were in charge ranges of one Paingiver. They weren't, so I just run them. And they're just going to sit there, they're going to threaten him and make him feel very uncomfortable. I really like the pressure that they bring. So if you haven't played with Flamebringers, do so. They are ridiculous. I've been able to have a lot of luck with them kind of chewing on kind of the softer targets on the flanks. So in this case, I have a Cyclops Savage that I have my eye on. And then what's going to happen is they go in, they do all their attacks. Sometimes they proc a grievous wound so he can't even heal it if I fail to kill it. And then they can sidestep back up, and then I can move the Reckoner forward right into that slot, pop feet on them, and then they're not going to die. And they're going to give me the additional benefit of essentially making my Reckoner quote-unquote defense 14 because of the fact that there are large bases in the way of getting to them. So send a couple Flamebringers in. On the Savage, they, chop, 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 do their thing. And at some point, go ahead and sidestep with the final attack. And again, go in with the Weapon Master attack. I think he's like defense 16. And then when you're cavalry, you're 3 dice to hit, so you have a better shot at getting that crit grievous. So the second Flamebringer just kind of slams on the damage on him, and they actually successfully kill the Savage. So go ladies. And they take the sidestep move back up. The final one is just going to chop a little bit on the Brute, I believe, because he was the only one in line of sight. So she's not going to do much damage, if any, to him. Nothing big. Sidestep, take her other attacks onto the Savage before finally sidestepping and repositioning back. So just kind of getting around the building, using it for cover. And then I'm getting clever. I'm going to put down a little proxy base here for my Reckoner to kind of walk on in. He's going to put his big toe in the zone to threaten that. And we're just going to make sure that the Flamebringer's positioning is exactly right. So we're looking at dropping Nicia right there. So now when the Reckoner comes up, all 3 of them are actually protected. This turn feels like it's going to be a feat turn. I know initially I had said that I like to, be able to get some attacks in before I feat, but he has such a long threat range that realistically it's going to either be feat now or he's going to be able to come in and kind of crush me, unfortunately. And I just don't want to accept those losses. So the Temple Flameguard are going to go, they're going to shield wall, they're going to pop Iron Zeal. Everyone's going to be really impressed by them. I know a lot of people are kind of been down on the Temple Flameguard. I actually think they work awesome in a list of this style, where you don't want to invest a lot into an infantry unit, but you want to have one there that dies at kind of a rate that you expect, because they bring in a lot of volume of attacks, which is very useful, but also you want them to be able to trigger a Hallowed Avenger on your Warjacks. So I find them ideal for this particular role, and on the one turn, they're actually very good at not dying, so it's kind of useful. Now the Reckoner moves up. He goes ahead and he shoots Makeda's little shield guard bot, and actually boosts damage and kills her because, I don't know, she's there, I can shoot him. Why not? It's one less model I gotta worry about. So Makeda gets battle driven. I really don't think it matters this turn. Pyrrhus is going to run up. He will be both base to base with the Temple Flameguard and the Reckoner. When Durst moved up, he also cast Bulwark. So the Reckoner will be effectively defense 14 with Ashen Veil and +2 defense from being base to base with a Templar. Then we're going to go ahead, we're going to enliven the Reckoner up top, we're going to enliven the Templar as well, just in case. Then we're going to position the mechanics also so when they back up, I'll be able to repair them.
Okay, turn 2. Alright, so now I have to figure out how to unpack this so I can cause damage on him and not take too many casualties on my own side. He kind of did a cautious advance, I think. He didn't, he just kind of got far enough to where he could hold the zones, contest the zones, and kind of put me at the limit of where I could reach. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens. So I end up pulling back all my fury to full. I upkeep Hand of Death, because the fact that he, can kill a model, take a overtake move on Molik is pretty good because he gets a lot of the I'll boost after the fact abilities. And then there's the feat, Gaston's feat I have to contend with. But those horses are very dangerous because they were able to take out at least one of my savages and then scoot back to relative safety, which kind of sucked. Especially when they could do their final sidestep and then move, reposition 5. So that kind of made it rough for me. So now I'm trying to measure out how to get around to those horses and take them off, hopefully take some more of them out. So the first savage moves up, does his initial swing, is able to kill off the one horse with only boosting to hit afterwards. Then the brute moves forward because my thought right now is to move Makeda up behind the forest, relatively safe from most of what's over there on both sides, and then have both the savage and the brute kind of work as a front unit to help kind of defender, I guess. So now I activate the Nihilators. They take the run charge order, and the idea is I'm hoping I can take out a couple more of the horses. So I have a couple charge, then I have a couple charge at the Flamebringers, and the rest kind of run up to kind of block charge lanes, trying to make sure that they don't get too far. He doesn't get a chance to advance too much. He's going to have to expend something to kill off the models to get them out of his way. So it's like I said, right now it's a matter of trying to get enough up there to block him in. So it's but the small command range makes it a little tough, because it's only command 7. So that's the basically what's happening. The downside is the Daughters of the Flame have pretty high defense, and it's tough. It's tough to get around their higher defense. Yes, the Nihilators have mat 7, which makes them pretty good for higher defense, but when the dice aren't going your way, it kind of sucks. But still, it was still a good plan in the beginning. So the Gladiator starts up. He puts Rush up on the Sentry and then slides over. The Gladiator is going to be kind of like my secondary tier bot. He's going to be the guy that's kind of the anchor of it all. If he needs to get into it, then, that's what'll happen. Then, oh yeah, I also have the daughters back there, coming in behind me, trying to hurt me a little bit, coming in flanking. Sucks a lot that they're flanking, but not much else I can do. I don't have a lot of stuff I can divert back that way to deal with them. So I'm just hoping to mitigate the damage as much as possible by hiding behind the wall on the other side of the wall. So I know they have acrobatics, but if I don't leave them a place to land, well then not a lot of, hopefully there's not a lot they can do to me. So now the Willbreaker moves forward, and he ends up putting Puppet Master up on Molik Karn. Sentry activates. He charges with Rush Up and being enraged by the Beast Handlers. And then, of course, being in base to base lets him do it for free due to prodding. Sentry charges up. And I do some swinging and everything else on the whatever models are in his range. Unfortunately, the halberd is the only thing that's actually in the range to hit the jack. And then the shield and the tusks go into the infantry up front. But with the feet, Righteous Zeal, and Shield Wall, those guys are pretty high arm. So as you can tell, there's just a little bit of damage done to the jack, but not a whole lot beyond that. So Molik Karn then charges, also doing it for free due to the Beast Handler being in base to base. Now with Hand of Death up and his sidestep due to being in a battle group with Makeda, he gets to do a sidestep because being bonded to Makeda, and then the 1-inch advance, and he is able to move up to take out 2 of the horses, thanks to being able to boost after the fact. And then he buys an attack. I want to say on Nicia, and this is where I find out that the feat gives everybody a boost in their defense or something along those lines. Oh no, he gets to transfer the damage back to the jacks instead of taking it, and there's a little miffed to hear that, but it is what it is. And then then Molik Karn takes the Fate Walker and moves himself back out of the way, hoping to survive.
He's trying to jam me up, which I think is really kind of the correct move, but it's another reason why I particularly like the Flamebringers in a list such as this. They are so fast maneuverable, they have parry, they can scoot out of the way after they kill things, that they can really significantly unjam my heavy warjacks. And that's exactly what we're going to look to do with the Reckoner going on there. So on the bottom flank, we've got the Sentry. Happily enough, I have the Templar, and he's got the chain weapon, so I'm going to be able to ignore that shield, and hopefully he'll be able to take care of him. That'll free up my options to go and destroy Pokey's objective down there. And then on the top flank, we're going to clear out the Nihilators, put the Reckoner into Molik Karn, and just pray for the best. It's a little bit of a shame that in the addition change he lost the assault shot, because that just helps with the choir getting debuffed. What are you going to do? So the Daughters of Flame, they're coming on in. They're charging some Paingivers, charging the Willbreaker. So they'll kill off a couple of the Paingivers. The Extoller will actually collect their souls until the Daughter kills the Extoller off as well. So that's what you get for shooting at me last turn. Shame on you. And then I believe we leave the Willbreaker on 1 health, just to make it interesting. But otherwise, they are pretty fully in his backfield, eating up his support, and that'll be pretty handy as the game goes forward. Just the more Paingivers he loses, the less mileage he's going to get out of his war beasts. One thing I should have looked at doing, and I did not, is explore the option of trying to 1-1 run a Daughter to engage both of the Paingivers there. I'm not sure if I had the distance or not. It's not something that occurred to me at the time, and I probably could have done better. The Temple Flameguard are going to go ahead. They're going to activate Shield Wall just to kind of keep their armor up. Again, it's Makeda 3. She's going to feed, she's going to overtake, and she's just going to wipe them all out. At this point, I feel like I got my use out of them. I really don't care. We got a couple of the Temple Flameguard down at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to take some free strikes. They're just moving out of the way. Again, it happens. It sucks to be a mook. But then they're going to start doing some CMAs up at the top in order to clear out a few of those Nihilators. And that's where they're going to be particularly good use to me. So they'll take out the guy, he'll do a tough check, the next guy in line will, hit him, auto-hit, knock down, and kill him. And we're just kind of going to go through. I think they'll clear out only 2 or 3 Nihilators, but, you've got the tough rolls in there, so you got to double down a little bit. It's enough to get the breathing room necessary for the Flamebringers, which is really what we're looking for. So additionally, we have Nicia up there as well. So I'm a very superstitious person. I don't trust dice, so we're actually going to send her in on Karn as well in a second. But first up, we've got battle going on. Activate my fun little Templar, and he's just going to go bananas on this Titan Sentry. He's also going to pop a guy in the face with a shield, because that's the kind of guy I am. And otherwise, he will just kill off that Sentry, not a problem. Obviously, that frees up a lot of room in the zone down there for me. Next up, got the Flamebringers. They're going to use their parry, scoot all over the place, and then just start doing all their swings. My biggest regret is probably that I wasn't able to put one into Molik Karn, but I had to clear out this stuff, and it was a choice between Nicia or Flamebringer, and I opted to use the Flamebringers to get more guys cleared out, more maneuverability. So they're going to do a pretty good job just kind of munching through all of the Nihilators there, definitely clearing up an entire charge lane for that Reckoner. It's exactly their job. So next up, we've got the little Mechanik. He's just doing a little bit of repairing. Then Nicia is going to go ahead. She's going to charge Molik Karn. Mat 7 will miss and miss again. So Nicia, you disappoint me. Very unhappy with you. So now the debate, of course, is that Durst, is he scooting? Is he not scooting? Where is that buddy going to go? So he's going to pull off a Wrack, scoot a little bit, put Boundless Charge on the Reckoner. Then we'll have the Vassal go ahead and enliven the power boost the Reckoner to get him his 3 focus. So he charges in, we'll hit with the first swing, do a bunch of damage, really good shot. He'll hit with the second pot, do a bunch of damage. So 3 health left, we're going to buy, we're going to boost, needing that 7, and he'll miss. And I will just be heartbroken. So we're leaving Molik Karn on literally 3 health here. And there is not a dang thing I can do about it. But moving on, Pyrrhus is going to go. He's going to actually punch this guy with a shield, because of beat back and Sophie Toughs, I scoot. And then the Reckoner is going to go. He's just charging on in on the objective, and he'll go ahead and he'll blow that up. And because there's also a Jack in the zone, I'll get some control points for that as well.
That was a good turn for Gaston. He was able to clear my zone, take out my objective, or clear the one zone, take out my objective. It happens. There was a lot of good damage output on his side. And now it's a matter of trying to figure out my move for how I'm going to do my turn. I do upkeep Hand of Death for a Molik Karn that's sitting on 2 or 3 health boxes. I want to say it's only it's 3. I think he's only sitting on 3 health boxes. So now it's okay, well, how do I get my remaining 2 Beast Handlers up? Oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't keep up Hand of Death, because I have a weird idea about recasting it. But you should soon see that I abandoned that plan, which the original plan was that I would move up, have her cast it on the Nihilator boss. Then the Nihilator boss would just kind of hopefully daisy chain his way through the Flameguard, flame whatever they're flame something. But then I kind of go through and think about it a little bit more. I'm like, wait a minute here. He's, the overtake is 1 inch movement, but you only get that if you're in the open and clear. Well, he's currently knocked down, so he'd forfeit his movement for action. And then if I were to do the overtakes would only be 1/2 inch. And seeing as how he's right at a 2 inch for only 2 of those guys, he's not going to clear out too many of those people. I activate my caster. She does a Vortex of Destruction on herself. And charges forward to get a good angle on the on Nicia, who's sitting over there, who for once actually missed and failed to hit Molik when she charged in, which I'm thankful for. So she charges in, she swings on Nicia, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line up a line to where I can get Eliminator put off on the Flamebringers. So that's where I'm trying to figure out my placement. And of course, as you know, Eliminator, I get to move 2 inches for every model I kill. Unfortunately, under my feet, it all still counts as 1. Doesn't matter how many of those guys I kill, I only get 1 for the entire spell. So she goes up, she does what she killed Nicia. That's how she got Blood Boon. And then she moved up and she bought an attack on the Jack. And then healed Molik Karn. Then I don't know why the guy died. Some kind of retaliatory strike or something. I'm not sure. So now the Willbreaker move puts Pup Master up on the Gladiator. And the Beast Handlers... Oh, no, not the Beast Handlers. The Brute. Because now the thought process is, if I can clear a path between Molik Karn and Gaston, I should be able to get between sidesteps... Between movement and sidesteps, I should hopefully be able to get to his caster. So I start thinking about it some more, and then of course I don't roll high enough to kill the one guy I want to kill, so that kind of really sucks. So I just start swinging on random guys, because I can't get close enough to the one that I really want to kill. So I just start swinging. And under feet, I buy an attack, and then if I kill somebody, I can remove the Point of Fury. Then I add it back. You know how it goes. It's Makeda 3. It's just how she works. So ends up killing enough to where she gets a point back. I actually put 1 point back on her. Move the Beast Handlers up to heal, enrage Molik Karn. He then slides up and around the edge of the Warjack. He ends up taking his swings on the one Warjack. As you can tell, he's doing some pretty good damage, because with Vortex of Destruction up, he gets to, not only does he get be a Weapon Master, he also gets to be gets it boosted because of Vortex of Destruction. So that's 4 dice at POW 16. It's actually pretty good. So he's able to kill off the Jack. It takes both of his swings. He does not get to do his sidesteps enough, because I didn't put up Hand of Death. I didn't upkeep it on him. Because, like I said, the original plan, put it on the Annihilator boss. But that didn't work. So he finished up his time swinging on those flame guys. Doesn't do a great job of killing them off. Then the Annihilators activate, moves forward to try to take out the horse chicks, Flamebringers, fails to do that. And then the Gladiator, in order not to lose on this turn, I attempted to have him slam the one jack, but instead he's going to slam where that guy is, Pyre or something like that. And of course he's going to boost the to hit, slamming for free, of course, because, well, he's a Gladiator. But boosting it to hit, and I ended up slamming him far enough to where he hit the wall. But when he did the follow-up, he got just close enough to swing on the blackjack. And it's POW 16 or 15 plus the wall bonus, so that was quite enough to take out Pyre, whatever his name was. And then the rest of I just kept on buying attacks on the blackjack, hoping to take it out, but didn't.
Lost my Reckoner, lost some Temple Flameguard, but I didn't lose my head, so could have been a lot worse. I'm doing pretty good on scenario, so I just got to clear out this Gladiator, and I believe like a Annihilator, and then we'll be good to go on there. So the Templar, he's going to take his Hallowed Avenger move. He'll swing on the Gladiator a little bit. Sadly for me, the Reckoner is actually out of Durst's control range, but not a big deal. So the Flamebringers are going to go first. They put a charge into Molik Karn, drop him to 1, finish him off with the next attack. So I get a little revenge there. Screw you, Molik Karn. Then also they're going to pop that Annihilator. So we're good to go there. Next up, we're going to go ahead and chant some battle. Good idea to power up your jacks. I'm going to put an extra point of focus on there with the Vassal. Actually, the Vassal is being saved for the Reckoner. I apologize. Durst just allocated. And then the Templar will go ahead and take care of the Gladiator, at which point Durst will be free to run up into the top zone, and that will be game on scenario. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it.
Afterthoughts. All right. The game, it was still a good game. I think the issue I was having with this one is the fact that I kept changing my battle plan. I went in with a thought. I didn't continue forward with it. I would kind of change it here and there, even though there was nothing really that should have caused me to change my plan. I just kind of changed it as the table state changed, which wasn't good for me because, well, I kind of kept on feeling like I was responding more than, giving something for him to respond to. So, yeah, pretty much I should have stayed with my original plans. Didn't, kept on changing. Not a good option. So thanks for watching, and maybe next time.